Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Public Works and Safety. Today is July the 15th. We are streaming the meeting live on City Madison YouTube channel, as well as archiving it. Let's get into the agenda. Clerk, good morning. Roll call for you.
Sorry about that. Roll call, Carl Eaglin.
Here.
Bob Courtney.
Here.
Dave Carlo.
Here.
Board, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the meeting July the 1st?
Mayor, I've had an opportunity and I talked to Shirley about a correction.
Yep.
And she's aware of that, so I'd like to make a motion that the minutes be approved with the correction.
What was the correction? What was the correction?
Sorry, had to check
Yeah.
this to make sure it's on. So the correction was at the
Oh, yes.
last mayor's comment, Crystal
Yep.
Beach had 13,000 visitors in the first 6 weeks.
Yep, our placer date actually was 13,400, so we'll correct the minutes for that. Thank you. I'll second that.
With that correction, I'll second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to claims.
Mayor, had an opportunity to review the claims. We have 31 pages today, totaling $727,066.09. And I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
I'll second David's motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. No adjustments. We'll move on to new business, and I'm looking for my chief washer. Not Brian, not yet. Sorry. Chief Washer is not here, but I want to bring to the board's attention email that Chief Washer forwarded with regard to the resignation of Deputy Chief for the City of Madison Fire Department by Jeremy Cornelius. So Jeremy has resigned due to other work conflicts. We're going to miss him. He's served the city extremely well. Now we'll work with Chief Washer and the other command staff for the appointment of a new deputy chief, but Jeremy's resignation's already in effect. And moving on, we'll go to new business. Now, chief of everything water related would be Brian Jackson. Hi, Brian.
Okay, I just have a couple claims for the SRF. I'll go through those and then we can vote on those. It's SRF disbursement request 67 and 68. 67 is from Commonwealth Engineers, and it's 3 invoices dated June 27th. The total amount of those invoices is $111,882.55. The amount of the SRF disbursement number 67 will be $111,883. For SRF request number 68 from Dave O'Meara Contracting for water treatment plants in Division A, dated July 8th, 2024. The total amount of the invoice is $93,732.50. The retainage amount of that portion is $4,686.63, $4,687 rounded. And the amount of the SRF disbursement for number 68 will be $89,046.
Brian, you want to give us a general update on the remaining 2 divisions that we're working on?
Yeah, I can. Division B was pretty much complete. That was on the tanks and the towers. The only thing we're waiting on was the additional work we added up on the east 1 million gallon tank. They're going to give us an update as a schedule of that today. I have a construction meeting after this meeting today, and so hopefully we'll know at least some calendar dates to when they're going to start working on the east 1 million gallon tank. Division A, the water treatment plants. JPG's basically done. The west end, we're having a little issues there because we had to install a new valve that we didn't have to isolate some of the lines because we cannot completely take the west end out of service. The hilltop, except for the east million gallon tanks, everything's done up there. The booster stations and the hillside tank is all complete. And you know, Division C's been finished for a while.
The Division C is completed, and we continue to work on the repaving. I think all the neighborhoods have been. is
Except
Hillcrest-
for the hillside,
Hillcrest we're still
yeah.
waiting on.
They're starting paving the Hillcrest today.
Yeah,
Paving Hillcrest today, and then in a subsequent CCMG, there'll be one more neighborhood that has to be completed, and that's Flint Street, correct? Okay.
yes, but that probably won't be till next year.
And your work and repair have been completed there on State Street, correct?
No, I think that
No,
there's still more work to
they're
do.
working
Still a little
today.
They issued a,
We hit a gulf, or we didn't hit it, but we discovered an encased gas line near there. So that kind of slowed everything down. So they're having to be extra careful. But, that is still ongoing, but it should be finished this week, we're hoping.
the compliance fees for this project are very expensive, aren't they?
Yes,
$207,000 for American iron and steel compliance and $90,000 for RPR inspection.
no, that's only $207.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For American
Whoa,
Iron and
put my
Steel.
glasses on, I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, no,
Okay.
that's not, that's,
Well, the 89, what is the RPR inspection?
that's our inspector.
Okay,
That he has three different, as you know, he had three different divisions he had to inspect on, so
Okay.
he spends a lot of time making sure they put things in correctly and do things correctly.
Well, I'll make a
Okay.
motion, we approve the, SRF request number 67 and 68.
I'll second Carl's motion.
any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none?
Thanks.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, well, let's move into the next one. Be Joe? Anybody here representing Donut Envy Food Truck can come up to the podium now, please. And please state your name and address.
All right, this is resolution number 2024-33B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding parking space closings for Donut Envy Food Truck. Whereas there's been a request filed by Becky Piles on behalf of Donut Envy for the closing of parking spaces in front of James Dell Clothing Store located at 108 West Main Street to allow its food truck to park and operate for food vending and other certain dates throughout 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that 4 parking spaces located in front of James Dell Clothing Store at 108 West Main Street be closed from 10 p.m. to midnight on the following dates throughout 2024 to allow Donut Envy to park its truck for setup and food vending. And that's Friday, July 19th, Friday, September 27th, Friday, October 25th, and Thursday, November 7th. Donut NB will detach its tow vehicle after completing its setup and will leave 2 parking spaces open for public use. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the 2 remaining parking spaces located directly in front of James Dell Clothing Store at 108 West Main Street shall be closed on the following dates and times throughout 2024 to allow Donut NB to park its food truck and to operate food vending. And that's Friday, July 19th at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. through Saturday, July 20th at 8 p.m. Friday, September 27th at 10 p.m. through Saturday, September 28th at 8 p.m. Friday, October 25th at 10 p.m. through Saturday, October 26th at 8 p.m. and Thursday, November 7th at 10 p.m. through Friday, November 8th at 10 p.m.
Thank you. You must be Becky.
Yes, Becky Piles, 2323 Allen Street, Madison, Indiana, 47250.
Okay, thank you for being here. And thank you all and the other 2 food truck operators who are here today, following through on the discussion we had at the last Board of Public Works and Safety meeting about the zone area that we created where there needs to be Board of Public Works approval before setting up. So tell us a little bit about these particular 4 dates. Why these 4 dates?
These are 4 dates in which James Dell has events. We only set up downtown when we're partnered with a business. We don't do pop-ups. These are weekends of, like I said, special events. We always do cross promotions. If anyone's followed us on Facebook or James Dell, when there are those weekends, or specifically usually a Saturday, we cross promote, do something you buy from us, you get a percentage off, or win something. It's a way to help draw business business into the retail establishment downtown. And needless to say, that is how we stay in business ourselves.
And, you know, the conversation we started was the dialogue about how are we gonna manage, food truck operators in this corridor because of the traffic, the high volume of traffic and pedestrian activity. And later on in the agenda, just so everybody knows, please stick around, because the other thing I'm gonna start bringing up, to create awareness for, is obstructions in our sidewalks. And that is becoming more and more of an occurrence as well. And so when you add in sidewalk obstructions with food trucks in an extremely busy corridor, and I'm not sure you were here at the last meeting, Becky, I know Scott was, but we were talking about how busy this area is, and it's still, for many reasons, a 4-lane highway, and we had over 5 million people come through this intersection in the past year. So we're really focused on making this corridor as safe as it can be because of the potential, but also the actual accidents we've had with pedestrians in this corridor, as well as on the east end, extremely high traffic. But we're also going to be, you know, working through updating our transient merchant peddler permit process so it can get modernized, candidly, and give more guidance to the food truck operators of where and when they can operate. I will be very candid with you. We're moving away from the randomness of just appearing, and because it's not safe. And so that's what we're going to be working on with our new projects committee, is to come up with a good balance, not to limit food trucks, but to be, honestly, amplify the experience of food trucks in this corridor. So with that said, that's kind of the background for everybody as we get to all of these, all three of the permits. And then I'll let the rest of the board speak as well. What we did say at the last meeting was, if you've already made a commitment, let me know. And the three of you did. What we weren't prepared to do was make multi-month commitments. We know that there is, or we've been made aware that there's a Main Street sidewalk sale, I think, in July.
Yes.
We want to make sure we don't impede that with those commitments that are made. But I noticed one of the dates you have on here, I think, is also during Chautauqua Week. I don't know
Yes.
about the other dates, if there's anything specific going on as an organized
Yes.
Main Street thing. But I will say that what we want to do today is just focus on July, your July commitment. Oh, gotcha, okay. I see. And then take them sequentially as we make progress on crafting this update to our ordinance.
That's a bit of concern for me, because we
Yep.
book at minimum 3 months out in advance, and I've already turned away other events because of these bookings. That would potentially leave us with no source of income.
Well, it just means that this zone, right, is off limits. It means that you've got the rest of Madison to work with, also on the east end, also on the west end. So we're not doing anything to say you can't operate your food truck. We're just saying in this location, Main Street is not a safe location for food trucks for a variety of reasons. We're going to continue to talk about it. But if we don't get our arms around it, it's going to continue to get more and more unsafe, and there's going to be more and more environmental issues related to food trucks operating in this corridor. So where we are heading with this policy is designated areas, not a random, show up in front of a business here and over there. And this particular day, July 20th, there's 3. I've been down here before where there's 5 or 6. And we just, we're going to move away from that. So unless the board wants to speak, and feel free to express yourself. Anybody here can speak for or against this resolution when we get to that point. And I'm going to make the motion that we approve, and I still have other questions, but I'm interested to make the motion that we approve your request for Friday, July 19th. And if I could get a second on that, we'll come back in and
I'll second.
speak. Okay.
I'll second.
All right, now the floor is open. I have some other questions, so let me ask you this, and I'm not sure you'll have the answers. But that is, what are the decibel readings of your, do you use a generator? Let me ask you that. Do you use a
Yes.
gas generator?
We use a generator. We actually use the Pulsar 9500, which is ranked the lowest in the industry right now at a
Okay.
9500.
Do you know what that decibel reading is?
If I had Scott with me, I could tell you.
Okay, maybe just be
He's
a
got it
follow,
memorized.
maybe just a follow-up question, because again, what we're introducing here is, we're not changing any requirements, right? We already have an ordinance relative to parking on Main Street. We already have a noise ordinance. We already have an ordinance with regard to obstructions on the sidewalk. All we're saying is, at some point in time, let's get together, all of us collectively, and make a plan so that we can deal with those ordinances, modify those ordinances. We already also have a transit merchant ordinance. Many of these ordinances, are 10, 15, 20 years old, so they don't really accommodate the thing now. But, I'll also remind everybody too that, we don't have really wide sidewalks to begin with. And between Broadway and Jefferson Street, we have 70 flower beds. And some of those are spaced in different places, odd shapes. Some are directly in front of the businesses that want to have food trucks, so then you have to slide down. Some are next to an alley, where there's a visibility issue. Some are right next to a handicap parking space. So there's all kinds of things there, but I would like to have a follow-up on the noise emanating from the gas generator. And are there any other power requirements?
No,
What about
Any water lines or anything?
we are self-sufficient.
So,
okay, so no power lines across the sidewalk?
No.
Okay.
How about the safety, I know you go through the inspection with the health department.
September.
How about like a fire extinguisher, or do you carry all that on board?
Corson does our biannual and annual inspection for both the fire extinguishers and our fire suppression system.
Okay, so you have all that on board. Very good thing.
That should talk a little good.
And you say you partner with a business that you're gonna be in front of, and they're fully
Yes.
accepting your,
Yes, we don't ever do a pop-up. The only time we have ever been on Main Street is when we partnered with a business. It's always been James Dell, with the exception of once was Betty Jeffries. Otherwise, no. For us, for our business, because we are not, we are a sweet treat truck, we have to have the proper draw of people. Setting up, unfortunately, on the west end or all the way to the east end, we will never set up. There's not the draw of people to financially substantiate doing that.
What other
for that time.
communities do you operate in?
Do what?
What other communities are, sorry?
We are in.
What other communities are you
We're
operating in?
licensed in 9 counties. We cover southeastern Indiana.
Any other cities like Madison where you're on maybe a Main Street corridor like this?
I've been down in Jeffersonville. We've been in Charlestown. We've been in Scottsburg. We've been in Columbus. We weren't on Main Street. We were at another event. Batesville, Milan. Give you a handful of them. VV.
Smaller communities than Madison mostly?
Some smaller, some are the same and larger. So,
they said in 9 counties.
yes, we are Clark, Bartholomew, Scott, Ripley, Jennings, Ohio, Switzerland, and of course Jefferson.
Board, do you have any more questions? I do have some requirements when we approve this, but I'll mention, but I want to get the Q&A out first.
Your business don't require any customers to be in the street
No.
or in the parking areas?
No,
Your serving is from the sidewalk
Yes.
side?
that would be the only way to do that.
Okay.
The only way we would be in a parking lot was say if it was closed off for an event, then of course everyone's roaming in there.
Do you bring your own trash containers, or you just depend on the city's trash?
It depends on the event. We have our own trash receptacles we brought as well.
Any other questions for Becky? And we'll open it up to any public comment on, if that's okay with you, on the resolution. We'll entertain some public comment now, Becky, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
something I want to address is, you know, you talked about safety, and the thing is, we were already ahead of the game on that. When we set up with James Dell and, not sure if Justin's still here? Yep.
Yep.
You know, we've always come the night before. We attempted once to come in the morning, and,
Yeah.
and that is just, Main Street, as you said, is busier than anything you can think of in the morning. Everybody and their brothers in Hinkle's getting breakfast. So we've always come the night before between 10 and midnight. At that point, you're lucky if you see 2 vehicles on Main
Yeah.
Street. There's also pretty much no one there. Being a trailer, you just can't whip into a spot. We take our time, get in where we need to be, make sure we're leveled, and we're good to go. Detach, come back in the morning, and we're there to support James Dell's events and continue cross-promoting. When they close, we start breaking down, we leave. Simple as that. I mean, we've always, as you said, safety it's way too busy. So that's something we've always done in order to address that.
Yeah. It makes sense because you would never get 4 spots in a row.
No, and we don't need 4
yeah,
spots. We need literally 1 spot and about 2 feet. But that's why we're requesting 2 spots, because we are over the line. But my standard 1500 Silverado is over the line with the parking spots on Main Street. So nothing's gonna fit.
I appreciate the
do-
fact that you have recognized that it's a problem to try to come in that morning and set up, and I like the fact that you come in the night before when there's
It's just easier for
little or
everybody.
no traffic, and
Yeah, it's easier for everybody, but, I mean, my safety is number one when I'm dropping that trailer, because if I'm not safe in what I'm doing, then it radiates out, and I'm not safe for anyone else.
right.
And, you know, it's busy, 2 people are trying to fight, unfortunately, in that corridor to get down to the other end. They're not paying attention. No one is, unfortunately. I do need to respectfully request that those other dates be approved. Again, I've already turned away events that I could have put in those spots that were 3, and, I mean, at bare minimum, we're booking 3 months out in advance, 6 months. I even have stuff for next year already booked. So trying to fill that void is a huge financial burden now put on us.
I'm sorry to hear that. We will not allow any food trucks in this corridor during Chautauqua.
What about
There are
the other
there are other food truck venues for that, and we really struggle with the volume of pedestrian and vehicular traffic that is pushed into this most dense area while there's through traffic going right, because it connects you between the highways. What's going on with these others? Are these organized Main Street events?
Yes. October 25th is going to be Sanderson's Sisters Day, or the 26th, I mean, the Saturday. And then Friday, November 8th is the holiday open house.
All the throw homes.
No,
No, no.
it's a holiday open house on Main
Oh,
Street.
it's open, with the shows.
That was the 7th?
Well, yeah, that's the night before. Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
the
Friday, the 25th is the,
8th.
is
October
Hocus Pocus weekend in Madison.
Yeah. And then November 7th, the 8th is the open house, the holiday open house.
Okay. And this Chautauqua.
I don't, the other 2 events in October and November, I don't think I have a problem. Those aren't nearly as large as the Chautauqua.
Okay.
So I don't have a problem with those 2 dates, but I agree with the mayor. We just have too much, there's just too much activity in a compacted area between Walnut Street and the Chautauqua.
And Craigmont, it's just crazy.
Yeah, so. The other 2 events, I don't believe we'll have the amount of, foot traffic and vehicular traffic. So I wouldn't object to those, but
Are you as a food truck operator opposed to a designated area?
I actually am. Again, we're a dessert truck, so working off of percentages and ratios in that, if you go to an event as a food truck, you know you have X number of people that's to attend. You know what's gonna be there. If you're a meal truck, you know that if there's X number of food trucks, how much of a percentage you're gonna get. Everybody needs to eat. Not everybody needs a dessert. So our share is even smaller. So we have to be where there is a mass. There's nothing here that is a mass that is going to draw enough for us to substantiate being open. I was at a car show yesterday, and it should have been a very large one. There was, come to find out, there was some mishaps in coordinating, and a lot of disappointment amongst many people, especially all the food trucks. Ended up being too many food trucks there. There was a draw, but not to substantiate the number of people. And all of us left with, unfortunately, little to almost, you did it for free. So for a food court area for us, we don't fit with our business model. So that wouldn't work for us. Maybe for some others, I can't speak to them, but for us, no. We have to go where there is the volume in order to play the numbers, if you will.
So you're saying the only place in all of downtown Madison that works for you is right there?
No, that is definitely not what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
We are gonna be partaking in Riverfest, for example. So there is the volume and the draw there with the number of food trucks we're gonna have. It's a good fit for us. We'll be at that. But downtown, there has to be the draw, there has to be the volume to work the numbers to do it. We won't be there. I mean, that is why the only time you've ever seen us on Main Street is in front of James Dell when there's an event. We just don't show up and hope we get food or get people to buy food.
Okay. I don't know how I feel about the other day, Chad. I'd like to hear some other comment, if there is any here who would like to make a public comment to Board of Public Works. We know you, but name and address for the record,
Sure.
please.
Justin Priest, I'm at 176 East Fountain Alley. I am owner or co-owner and co-operator of Betty Jeffries and James Dell at 108 West Main and 129 East Main. Just want to echo what Becky said when it comes to the cross-promotional piece of it. We always think, all right, so Friday heading into Saturday this weekend is going to be a Candyland sidewalk sale. So we partner with each other. What can we do to be able to create some activity at their truck and then also inside the shop? So we've already come up with an idea to do Pop Rocks, and so we're going to have a Pop Rocks donut, right? So then there's this tie-in that I'm all about providing a great experience for our customer, and a lot of times that comes from being downtown, seeing the vibrancy, and there's some vibrancy to be said that when food trucks are out in front of the shop, because that's a draw to get people in. And then vice versa, if they're inside the shop, that's my opportunity to get them out, to be able to patronize the truck. But I do want to echo Becky and Scott and I and Ralph, we have been very intentional about the safety aspect of it. I've parked my Avalon in front of that spot to secure it so that they can get down there the night before. And then we also make sure that the sidewalk stays clear, because what I don't like is if there is a line that forms while waiting for their food. So we typically either have them line up against the shop or the window or that kind of stuff, so that it's not like playing a game of Red Rover to get people through who are ordering. We've also been very intentional about setting up the space where the sidewalk meets to where their window would be for ordering, so that way we do not do anything where we're trouncing on the beautiful flowers or our flower beds or anything like that. We try to be very intentional about, again, that's my facade. I try to keep it as looking great as possible, but their presence there is a big draw, and there's a direct correlation between the days that they're there that I also see increased traffic in the shop.
You know, you have one of the unique you have a beautiful storefront.
Well, thank you.
And I'm a big fan, as you know.
Yeah.
But you also have beautiful flower
Yeah.
bed right there in front of your store, and you know it gets very crowded.
Yeah.
And difficult to pass in some instances. And you know, we're also thinking about the accessibility of our sidewalks, and we're doing a lot of city planning on Main Street to make it more accessible than it is now. And part of that is dealing with the like I said, 70 flower beds. It's in this one, few block area. And then, we also love it when our merchants are out there. They've got merchandise on the sidewalk. We've got dining, out there. It creates a great experience, but it just kind of starts doing this with, the space, that people are there for, which is to, freely go up and down the street. And again, that's the reason why we're doing this, such as to bring these conversations out to light, because right now, there are no guardrails. We have guardrails, there are no ordinances, but there's an educational element to it, there's the environmental aspect of it. 4 years ago, we weren't doing food trucks because this was a state highway. And then when it became under local control, none of those ordinances changed, but the whole environment
Times
started changing. Yeah, something did. I appreciate you being here today, Justin.
Well, absolutely, yeah, I'm
Thank
a
you.
big supporter.
Yeah.
I'm also a huge supporter of always collaborating with any business. It's not just food trucks. I think if you see what Betty Jeffries and James Dale, we do is we try to create a sense of unity and a sense of, like, when people come to Madison, to have a great experience
Right.
all over. And so all boats rise with the tide, so I want to make sure that we just continue to do what's best for Madison. But I do know that this is an additional aspect to my business that helps.
Okay,
Alrighty,
appreciate it.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go open my shop now.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here would like to make a remark on Resolution 2024-33B? And I'll turn it back over to the board. Becky has asked us to reconsider the dates relative to October and November, I believe. Friday, October 25th, and Thursday, November the 7th.
I feel comfortable amending the resolution to include the October 25th and November 7th, like David said. And, the Chautauqua, of course, would be a flat no, just because of the busyness of Main Street. So, I wish I could amend, I guess,
So you're moving to
Include.
amend the motion?
yeah, to include February, October 25th, and Thursday, November the 7th.
Okay, do we have a second on that? And we'll continue on with our discussion.
Well, like I said, the Halloween sale in October and the holiday open house, I understand you have commitments already made, scheduled. We can kind of use that as a guide going forward to see what kind of crowd we have for those events.
Well, and also the progress on the new projects on addressing this,
The
this
ordinance,
topic.
ordinance update, and, it kind of be a learning experience, I guess, for the lack of better wording, but to see how those events go and, moving forward, but, I definitely have a problem with,
Do you want to second
Chautauqua,
Carl's
so
motion?
I'll second Carl's
Okay,
motion,
open for
amended
more-
motion,
Open
yeah.
for more discussion. Any comments or questions? I would add this, and that is, relative to the safety aspects of this, and as well as the environmental. We will ask the chief to do a decibel reading on, and this is gonna be for information for all of us, because what we are raising is the fact that we have loud generators, operating on our sidewalks, and that's another environmental element. And we also have a noise ordinance, in the commercial district. I believe it's from, let me just quit guessing and bring it out here. Here it is right here. No, restrictions. It is, just so you'll note it, in that district, it's 75 decibels during the day and 65 considered nighttime. And the daytime is 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and the nighttime is 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. we are doing a lot of research on this topic so that we can, collaboratively craft best practices. We also want to continue to partner with Madison Main Street Organization. I think they're going to be a critical partner with myself and City Council and the Board of Public Works and Safety in modernizing our ordinance so that it fits for where we want to be safety and environmental and experience-wise on Main Street. Any other comment on this application? We have a second motion? No? We're getting ready to vote. We're getting ready to do that now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna vote on that,
On that, yes.
on the application altogether?
Yes. I was just trying to get more comment. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and now we have, I'll restate the motion. So we have a motion to approve resolution 2024-33B, to allow Donut Envy for its parking requirements and operation for, as the dates specified in the resolution, excluding Friday and Saturday, September 27th and 28th, which is Chautauqua weekend. Okay. And that's what we're voting on, with the provisos of doing the decibel readings, and also, I will just ask, picking up litter around the area of the food truck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And we just also wanted to note that your peddler permit looks like it expires on August the 21st, so you'll need a renewal before the other dates. All right, thank you. All right, move on.
Next is resolution number 2024-34B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding parking space closing for, thank you, Pacalana's Poke Wagon Food Truck. Whereas there's been a request filed by Isa Center on behalf of Pacalana's Poke Wagon for the closure for a parking space directly in front of Scarlet Begonia, located at 118 East Main Street, to allow its food truck to operate on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the parking space located directly in front of the Scarlet Begonia store at 118 East Main Street shall be closed from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, July the 20th, 2024, in order to allow for Pacalana's Poke Wagon to park its food truck to set up there and operate for food vending.
Welcome back, Isa.
Thank you.
And
Good
it's
job,
Pacalana's
Mr. Benner.
Poke Wagon.
I was close.
Good enough.
I apologize.
Mahalo. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Well, you heard the dialogue earlier with Becky, and you were here a couple weeks ago for Board of Public Works, and thank you for attending our new projects committee meeting the other day. You saw some policy crafting, or I should say, lots of discussion, spirited discussion about the policy we're working on right now, and that one, and the next one's going to be the food truck. So, anything you'd like to describe that's different on your request here?
No, I think that's pretty specific. So I am only requesting for that date. That's the only date on my calendar that I've been invited for a Main Street spot specifically. So that's for the Candyland sale, sidewalk sale, Candyland theme sidewalk sale in front of Scarlet Begonia. We also overhang a little bit with our generator on a parking spot, so we did request 2 spots, I believe. That's on there.
Same kind of generator, but Janet?
No, sir, I will tell you right now, our generator is probably the loudest. I'll just admit that because I hate our generator. But we are at 68 decibels. So I think that restricts us from utilizing a spot on Main Street after 10, but we're usually
You're
gone
normally
by about 9.
out there.
Yeah.
We'll ask the chief to do the same thing this weekend, I'm sorry, it is this weekend, isn't it? July
Yes.
19th. We're just gonna collect the data on the three food trucks that'll be here, random, at these three different locations, and start gathering the information. Again, we're highlighting the fact that we're not changing anything. We already have the ordinances there. Not sure many people are aware of them, but this discussion about food trucks and the food truck experience and in this corridor is bringing everything, I think, everything to light.
You have the safety inspections and fire protection on board.
Yes, sir. We do not utilize any type of heat source in our food truck unless it's just a, electric rice cooker. So no open fires and no oil or grease used.
But you still have fire extinguishers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And we'll just ask for the same thing, which is, collect any litter that remains around the area where your food truck is operating from. And you're also in one of those, what I would consider not a great location, because the alley's there, there's a flower bed there, that sidewalk gets restricted. But we're gonna continue to monitor it, and I'll move that we approve resolution 2024-34B.
Second the mayor's motion.
And we'll open up for discussion. Any comments or questions?
I'm not familiar with your setup, so I'll ask you like I did Becky. You serve strictly from the sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
No customers off of the curb, basically, so.
No, sir.
On the street, yeah.
I feel like that's common sense. I apologize. I know not everyone has common sense, but I would not want to serve anyone off of the street side. It's too dangerous.
And we were just saying, and what we talked about before is, we see everything.
I agree.
And that's why this topic and obstructions, is really kind of hitting its tipping point.
Yes, sir. Understand.
Any comments or questions? I'm sorry, any comments for or against resolution 2024-34B? Open to the floor. Hi.
Coco Heath, 118 East Main Street. I'm the proprietress of Scarlet Begonia. I just wanted on the record that I did invite them, and I would like this approved, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
I'm currently at 29 Raker Road in Milton, Kentucky, but soon to be at Spring Street in Madison.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm excited.
Excited for you.
Thank you.
Hearing no other discussion?
I do
Oh,
have
sorry,
to, I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yes.
I do have to say, I think all food trucks are differently ran and have a certain amount of people, it just varies depending on the event. I do see an uptick in helping the small businesses that are on Main Street. Safety or not, I'm just trying to state that I do see an uptick in all of the businesses that's surrounding us, including brick and mortars. We see the flow of people, and it's very exciting. I even have employees from those brick and mortars that come out, and they'll eat our poke bowls, and they'll say how awesome it is that we're seeing this big crowd. And I do know obstruction is a problem. But most of our customers, I think, are semi-aware of like what is going on, and if there are people trying to walk through, that they're trying to stand back and let the traffic flow easier on the sidewalks. I personally love flowers. I don't like to trample on them, so I always kindly ask that people do not do that. Beautification is important. That helps our food truck, because our food truck's not the most brand new one out there. So.
Your food truck can almost park in one space. It's kind of unique like that.
It can.
Yeah.
It's drivable. So it's the exact replica of a early 2000s catch-a-ride that we utilized to pick up to and from the hospital, or we used to. I don't know if they even still do that or not, but they would pick up elderly patients, transport them to and from. So I think it's pretty, it fits that structure need, so.
Okay. Thank you, Issa. Anything else?
No, sir.
We already voted. We're good there. Appreciate the dialogue. What's that? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving on to our third one. Hi, Beck. I'm sorry, do you? Oh, yes, if you want to, please come forward.
Luckily, I can pull up the manual. Our generator rates at 62.
62?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Becky. We'll move on to Resolution 2024-35B. Wait, ready for this last resolution? Yeah, it's okay. Microphone, please.
This is 2024-35B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding a parking space closing for the Tiny Hoss Coffee Truck. Whereas there's been a request filed by Sabrina Ryder on behalf of the Tiny Hoss Coffee for a closure of parking spaces directly in front of Serendipity store located at 205 East Main Street to allow for its food truck to park and operate and vend for Saturday, September 20th, 2024. So this is exactly the same as the other. Except for it is at a different location, and it's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, July the 20th, 2024.
Point of clarification here, on Resolution 2024-34B, it just said the parking space. And then on 2024-35B, it says the parking spaces, whereas the first one had a specific number. I think we need to clarify for both. I believe with Pacalanas, it's two or, okay.
2 parking spaces.
Hi, are you Sabrina?
I am.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How
And
are you?
I'm fine, thank you for being here, and just to clarify, are we talking about, how many spaces are we talking about for the Hoss Coffee Truck?
At minimum 2.
Okay, that's very different. You said at minimum 2. So are you saying you need 3, 4, 5 parking spaces?
I would need at least 2 parking spaces.
Okay, 2, okay. So we'll direct this at 2 parking spaces, okay? Thank you. All right, well, welcome, and if you'd like to give us some opening remarks, do you work with Hoss Coffee?
Yes,
All
we
right.
just started managing.
Chris sent you down
the-
here? Thanks, Chris.
We just started managing the Tiny Hoss trailer.
Okay.
So yes, I work
right.
for them, and we kind of schedule events and that kind of thing.
Were you here during the discussion for the other 2
I
resolutions?
was not.
You were not?
Oh,
Okay.
for today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been here the whole time.
Okay, so nothing's different than on this one. I would just reiterate that the location where this is requested, we also have the other elements, right? There's flower beds, there's handicap parking directly in front of the space you're looking to reserve. So, as we're talking about the environmental elements of it, again, there's not very many ideal spaces in this zone we've created because of, handicap signs, a speed limit sign, a telephone pole, something else that might be on the sidewalk. Getting through our sidewalks is like this in most regards. We're trying to make it accessible for everybody, which is why we're having this, and this has all been great discussion. The outcome of it's gonna be good. So this resolution is for 2 spaces, from 10 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, July the 20th, correct?
Correct.
All right. I'll go ahead and make a motion, we approve it, and then we'll open it up to the discussion. Move that we approve resolution 2024-35B with 2 spaces from 10 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, July the 20th. If I could get a second, then we'll go into comments, questions, and more dialogue.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Now let's move into more discussion. All right, I did that backwards, didn't I?
You did.
Well, we're gonna land in the same place. But the same thing is true with regards to picking up the litter and about your generator. Can you tell us about that? Is it gas powered?
It is.
Okay. Are there any power lines going across the sidewalk?
No, we're self-sufficient.
self-sufficient.
So in all instances, we said no power lines going across the sidewalks by all three
No,
food truck.
no water, 'cause you
We're
have coffee.
self-sufficient, we have water tanks
Yeah,
and all
water
that,
tanks,
okay.
yes.
And that's the other thing that we'll get into with the other ordinance, is the fact that, the gray water, the gray water is an important element of this too. And of course, I'm assuming you have the health department, so you have sanitation inside the food truck. Board, any questions for Sabrina? We'll do the same thing with the chief. We're gonna collect data on our decibel readings for the, power generators.
When it comes to parking your trailer or truck, will you come in the night before, or will you try to do it that morning?
Unfortunately, we couldn't come in the night before because we have refrigeration. So it would need to be running all night in that case. I am flexible on coming in earlier in the morning if that would be safer for the public.
Just,
You're gonna have to find the spots. I mean, again, that's gonna be the challenge, but it's up to you guys, honestly.
Cause I know, yeah, in that area, there's a lot of traffic, you know, with the whatnot, antique store and all that up through there too. So they're in and out with trucks and delivery.
There's just a lot of traffic on Main, you're right, in and out of the alleys and on the sidewalks and the different businesses and handicap space right there, with you. We just ask that you not obstruct the handicap spot as well.
So,
Oh, sorry. This resolution says that the parking spaces are closed. So if there's somebody in front, are we essentially saying that they can be towed if they're not out?
If the appropriate signage is there, that space is reserved and there's a vehicle there, then yes. If there's no signage, then no.
Okay, so I
But
wanna make that,
always up to the applicant
I just wanna make
to
that
post
clear
the
that,
proper signage, and I know our police always works to try to locate the owner of the vehicles.
yeah, I just wanna make that clear. I mean, the resolution says closed. So.
Right. And again, this is the appropriate way to do this, because it does add structure. We're asking these questions and talking about this topic in public that anybody can attend or view later. And this is a pressing issue for the city, safety-wise, that we are engaged in bringing some solutions to. So, but your point's a good one. And that is, if you'll need to reserve it yourself. Okay.
I'll ask
And
you
that
like
may
a,
also prompt, question calls. What's that? Oh, okay, but I'm saying, but on that day, too, that may prompt a call to the police. But, like it or not, this is gonna become more public, right? Which is what we're trying to accomplish, and it gives everybody an opportunity to speak, which is what we want.
Sorry,
Yeah.
quick question. So in order to reserve our spots, I'd like to know maybe what time or how long in advance we need to go and reserve that. Do you see what I'm saying? I just don't want to reserve it too early and then not be accurate. So just something to think about, I guess.
I mean, I think when do you want to set up? So you would probably want to try to get your signage out the night before, and put the time on like we do for, the parade, for example. We put signage in advance, no parking here,
Yeah, just didn't want to
Yeah.
cross time.
night before.
Thank you.
And that's the other thing the business owners need to understand too, is now we're saying nobody can park in front of your business for a certain period of time, and then during a period of time. Trade-offs with all that. Sabrina, do you have any comments or questions?
No,
I'll ask you like I asked the other two, the ordering and serving from your truck is all taking place on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Nothing out off of the curb into the street or parking area, is that correct?
Correct.
So, for safety,
That's what we want.
safety reasons.
No food or beverage served from the street side. And again, we've seen it all, so. Well, we've already, approved resolution 2024-35B. Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't believe so.
All right. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to PACE grants. Nicole?
She go.
I'm gonna do that in my public comment. Yep.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I have two amendments for you. The first one is 1003 East Street. Brian Marshall is requesting an amendment to remove the windows from his original scope of work. The PACE committee voted to approve this amendment. It changes his grant amount from $25,000 to $24,250, which is 50% of his cost of construction.
This has already gone through the historic board for the C of A?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And then the next amendment is 108 East Third Street. Bill Barnes had to get another quote for his scope of work for tuck pointing because his original contractor is no longer available. The quote that he received is significantly higher than his original scope of work cost. So he's asking for an amendment to just remove a portion of the tuck pointing. He's got one wall along the alley that increased the scope of work by $12,550. So he's asking to remove that. It will not change his grant amount.
Have you inspected that property? Was that an okay addition? Or deletion, I should say?
Yes, yeah, he's planning to do the work in the future, but right now it's stable.
Okay. Are you okay taking both of these at the same time?
Yeah.
108. I make a motion to approve the amendments to the PACE grants at 108 East Third and 1003 East.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Appreciate all the work they're doing on both these projects.
And then I have several applications for you. This was the most recent round of PACE funding. The first application is 604 Mulberry Street. These are all dilapidated structures asking for $25,000. His scope of work includes electrical, floor joists, subfloors, rear addition work, tuck pointing, doors, windows, trim, and paint. And if you're okay with batching these, I'm assuming.
Does that, just, what's happening on the front? Are they repainting?
Yes, it's the door and windows
Oh, and paint.
and paint.
Okay. That whole area's really come back. Really happy with it.
The next application is Dave Patterson, 118 West 5th Street. Another dilapidated structure asking $25,000. This unsafe structure has significant work needed. Everything from foundation up to the roofing, siding, framing, doors, windows.
I think you've already constructed the foundation.
Yes, we, in the PACE grant, we allow if they're deemed unsafe that they can go ahead and start work prior to approval.
And this has got some historical significance to it. Cornerstone people are here. Is that the O'Bannon house? And how that has sat literally dilapidated and unsafe for
Years.
probably decades, candidly. But
I
it's
think
been
the
in
first
that
time
state
it was
probably 10 years.
listed, first time it was listed as unsafe was 2012 by Mark Johnson.
Wow. Well, happy and grateful that David's bought this and that street, 5th Street, all the way from, literally Elm down to Mulberry is making a comeback.
The The next application, actually the next two, is by Matt and Daniel Chandler. This first one's for 301 Jefferson Street for the amount of $25,000. Their scope of work includes electrical, window repair, framing, and storefront restoration. I did just want to note that this application was not recommended by the PACE committee because of a scoring issue, but we felt that it was a significant investment to bring it before the board and let you all decide on the approval.
Let's go ahead, yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. Talk about the companion building. There's two buildings with this project.
Yep, the second one is 221 East Second Street. The attached building there, you can see same scope of work, also the $25,000.
The private investment of $725,000, is that
Each.
for both buildings? or
That
each?
is each side, so it's 1.5 million total.
We'll talk about this round in just a little bit, but that is, if you think about what our anchor buildings are, that's an anchor on Jefferson and Second, all the way down to Mad Paddle, anchoring the west side of West Street and Second, and now with Rebecca's restoration, literally, of this extremely unsafe building on the east side of West and Second, and everything in between with the grocery store, Mural Plaza, new paving, gutters, sidewalks. The investment down there has been remarkable, and this is a whole corridor that's coming back once you include Mulberry all the way down to the Overlook.
The next one is 820 West Main Street. This dilapidated structure for $25,000 also did not meet minimum score because of a scoring issue where they didn't have the building deemed unsafe, but staff believes that if it had been inspected, it would have, which is why we are bringing it before you all for approval. And they're similar to the O'Banion House, where they're literally working from the ground up, from foundation work, door siding, and framing.
Yeah, I'm not sure, from the outside, you can tell just how seriously deteriorated many of our structures are across town that have not gone through this type of change in ownership. Literally is what it's taking. We still have, as we talked about before, dozens and dozens of unsafe structures across our community, and here's an opportunity to bring this one back to life
Yeah,
too.
this one, the aluminum siding is literally holding it together.
Comforting, thank you.
Nicole, what kind of
Yeah.
siding is on that house?
It's aluminum right now. They're gonna go with LP Smart siding at the end.
Okay.
Great.
And then the next two is a duplex, 811 East Second Street and 811.5 East Second Street. Both asking for the $25,000. These are our two highest scoring applications, and them, like everyone else, is working from the ground up, framing, siding, windows, doors, front porch paint.
This property's been talked about frequently because it is so visible, but yet in such deteriorated condition, and has been allowed to essentially self-destruct over a very, very long period of a lack of maintenance and multiple owners in this instance.
Exactly.
So happy to see this one get approved, or this one be recommended by PACE and undergoing major restoration in an important corridor. We know that will be done right too. I'd like to split this one off from the other ones, and talk about it separately. So let me talk a little bit about this round. This was the last round for 2024.
Yes, we are out of
We've
funds.
expended all of the city, the county, and the redevelopment commission funding.
Yes.
This is probably the most impactful round, I think, of the four because of the amount of the private investment. It's $175,000 total in PACE grants, all of which are either dilapidated. They're all dilapidated. A couple of them, if you were talking about, were what I would consider dangerous. The Dave Patterson one was dangerous, even though it did not get inspected for unsafe structure. The home owned by Paul and Paula Lee at 820 West Main, I would consider dangerous if it's had so much structural deterioration. But over $2 million of private investment. That is a phenomenal leverage ratio, showing the impact of PACE on high-profile, high-visible, dilapidated structures in
Yeah,
important
the
areas.
ratio is almost 13-1.
13 to 1. We've only had a couple that would be anywhere in that zone. When Rebecca did this property down here, I remember that leverage ratio was phenomenal. And so I would move, I'd like to break this motion up into two. The first one being approving the PACE grant recommendations for 604 Mulberry, 118 West Fifth Street, 301 Jefferson Street, 221 East Second Street, and 820 West Main Street. And then we'll leave the final two for a second motion. So if I could have a second on that motion.
I'll second the mayor's motion for
Okay.
those properties.
Well, any comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, with regard to 811 East Second, 811 and a half East Second, really grateful that this work is being complete, but there is a rear outbuilding structure that needs to be part of, and I know it is part of the restoration plans for that corner. And I would just add in the notes here, first I will move that we approve 811 and a half, 811 East Second Street, those two properties, with the proviso that the outbuilding structure be dealt with to the city's satisfaction by completion of construction of the two primary structures.
I'll second the mayor's motion for.
And I know that, yes, thank you.
For the 811 East Second.
Now open for, I'll just explain that a little bit further, and that is I know that that's the intentions, and this PACE program, as well as some other things the owner is requesting, I think will go a long way to cleaning up that high visible corner, but the outbuilding, it also has to be addressed as part of the PACE grant. So we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay.
I have 3 finals for you.
Woo!
The first is a rehabilitation grant at 417 West Second Street. Their work included a porch restoration from this dilapidated, more modern porch to a more historically accurate porch. They did the railings and columns there. Their request is for the full disbursement of $7,500. The next 2 are both dilapidated structures. This first one you should be familiar with, 815, 817 West 2nd Street. Their work was really a full exterior restoration, including siding, windows, and doors. And they've completed their project according to their grant agreement, and they've already received half disbursement, so their disbursement request is $12,500.
Both of those project, oh, you have one more?
I got one more,
final?
yep.
Okay, gotcha.
And then the last dilapidated structure final is for 110 East Main Street. Their work, while not 100% visible from the street, was very important because had it collapsed, it would have caused a lot of issues. But their scope of work includes tuck pointing and exterior plaster, which you can see fully restored that wall, and they're asking for the full disbursement request of $9,659.37.
Wow. I want to thank everybody who is making these investments. I see a couple of you here, remarkable, and even though, some of the area in which we're helping fund, it is still important restoration work to make sure that these buildings live on beyond us. And so thank you, Link and Nathan, for your investment there, as well as the investment on the property down near the Lanier Mansion. Beautiful work. I'll move that we approve the finals for 417 West Second, 815-8 to 817, and 110.
I'll second the motion.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Fantastic. Wow. We should do like a before and after open house with our PACE program, because it truly is producing phenomenal results. Block by block. Go down West Third Street. There's a major reconstruction happening of a duplex down there too, and it's hard to find a block that isn't experiencing some level of renaissance. Good work by building and planning, code enforcement, and City Council, Board of Public Works, Redevelopment Commission, Jefferson County for all funding this, and then most importantly, the owners who are making an investment in the city of Madison with those properties.
Definitely.
Nicole, thank you too.
No problem. Happy to help. So that did use up all of the funding for 2024. So the next PACE round will not be till January 2025. But I wanted to go ahead and let people know that round deadline is December 2nd this year. So if you're planning a project and want to get it in, that would be the first round.
December 2nd.
Yes.
And
is
then
the
we're
deadline.
also going to be taking a fresh look at our guidelines. I think for the most part, they work really well, but we know that there's some tweaks to make it even more effective.
Exactly. Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
Moving on to unfinished business. PACE funding request for 524, no action needed on it, correct?
No, it's still pending. We've reached out to the owner to see exactly what her timetable is. We haven't gotten that yet from her, but she has mitigated at least the unsafe portions of the building
Right.
and secured it to our satisfaction. So we're just working with her to figure out exactly what her timeline is for the grant.
Good. Okay. And then we have resolution 2024-31B, and I believe you're here for that. So I will move that we take resolution 2024-31B for Soup, Stew, Chili, and Brew off the table.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome.
Hello, I'm Jim Lavelle.
Hey,
I'm
Jim.
the Vice President of the Chamber, and came here today to see what questions you have for me.
So tell us a little bit about this event, because you are not only talking to us, you're talking to your 13,000, probably 25,000 fans
Sure.
out there in the YouTube world.
Yeah. So Soup, Stew, Chili, and Brew is an annual event that the Chamber puts on. That it initially was brought up to help nonprofits that are members of the Chamber help raise money for their organizations. It's kind of, I would say, morphed into a larger event that's more than that, but that's still the basis for it. It's one of the few events where in the past Main Street has been closed down to accommodate, and the city has always done a lot to help us in order to put that event on.
What was your attendance last year on that? Do you remember the count on that? I know it was big.
Yeah, it was big. I don't know. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. That's something I could be happy to get back to you with.
We have a placer date on it, I just don't recall it either, but it was very well attended, and I know on the well, we should ask Joe to read the resolution. Sorry, Joe. Oh, okay, so we don't have to reread it? Okay. Good time saver. The couple areas that I thought worked well last time and prior years is using our parking lot here for the solid waste, the sanitation part of it, rather than it being up on Main Street like it has been in the past years. And then how successful was the parking lot for, that was the kind of the kids zone,
The kids zone,
wasn't it?
yeah, that worked out. That actually worked out really well. And to have that kind of all in one area, the year before that we had kind of some bouncy houses spread out, and that was a little bit, I think, harder to manage. Kind of all in the one parking lot there, kept it also for parents to keep track of their kids.
And, this is essentially the same
Same
as last time,
Same as
right?
last year, and yeah, I know that you had wanted the dumpster there, and,
Yep.
to me that worked out well, and we're completely fine with that.
And I know you have, food trucks, or actually, you don't have any food trucks, you have all the different vendors. Are there food trucks on either of the ends?
There are some food trucks that are vendors.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah, there for the past few years there have been some.
Okay.
That have
And
vendors.
like with the conversation we've been having, this is the second consecutive one, safety is the main issue here. We will, I think, need to address, obstructions or particularly how they power, how some of these booths are powering. This is a very unique, festival for Madison. It's very well attended. I think people look forward to it.
And I mean, in the past, I know, not necessarily, not the food truck that I've seen, not the food trucks that I've seen, but many of the, you know, nonprofits that are setting up booths do run power cords to, you know, across the sidewalk.
We're gonna have to take a really close look at that this year and make sure that there's no trip hazards there. And I know for that event, there are some public outlets along the way
Yes.
that may be able to be utilized as well.
And I know, you know, last year, we were able to use the water and electric outlets like in past years. And I know last year, we hired the city electrician to kind of troubleshoot as we ran into the problems with that, and that's what we would like to
We
do
also
again.
need to be conscious of wheelchairs. Also, I know sometimes you have those little rubber ramps, those seem to work very well.
Yes.
I believe they're approved. And,
Well, that's the proper way to cover a cord, if there is one.
And another,
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
sorry, another thing that I wanted to make sure that we had addressed too is there was some confusion a couple years ago, but you know, last year we made sure that, you know, chamber staff and volunteers at the end of the event when we
Yep.
were cleaning up, we made sure that we got all of the city trash cans, you know, along the sidewalks emptied, and we'll make sure that we do that again this year.
And the other issue we had that we talked about before too is when will the portalets be removed? Because I think we had an issue last year with kind of they extended their welcome, or I should say it's the right word there. They were there a little too long.
Yes, and that was,
They overstayed their welcome, I should
yes,
say, the
and that
porta
was,
potties did.
they were not picked up when I had understood that they were going to be picked up. So that will be a point of contention with them this year to make sure that, you know.
And where will those be located at, Jim?
At the same spots as last year, so there's some, across the street here. I think there was one more spot that there were some, but I'll look on the map and figure that out.
I'll make a note of that too as we get closer. Again, trying to just keep our community clean and safe. Any other, comments, Jim, you want to add?
When did you want those, or when would you like those to be picked up by?
Ideally, on Sunday.
Sunday,
I think we stretched into Tuesday or Wednesday of the last year.
Sure.
And we want to go quick and get that stuff out of the way. When we get back to normal.
Absolutely.
And I know that may be a, inconvenience, for the company, but ideally it would be on Sunday at the latest, Monday morning.
Okay.
Do we want to have a motion for this resolution, and
I'll
we'll do
make a
that, and then we'll
motion
open up if you have a comment or
for
question.
resolution 2024-31B.
I'll second Carl's motion for that.
Just a second, we're gonna get to that. We have a motion and a second. Now we'll open up to public comment. If anybody would like to come to the podium and make a statement about the application.
I just wanted to help answer any questions about the food truck, being that Donut Envy is a chamber member, and that is why we participated last year. The only food trucks that were there last year were the chamber members.
Okay.
Myself, Donut Envy, Mark, that owns Troublemakers, and then Kona Ice. So, and speaking with the others, all three of us plan to be there again this year as chamber
Gotcha.
members.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, the other thing I wanted to add is, you added about the electric and that, all three of us are self-sufficient, so there's not, again,
No
power
force.
cords across and
Okay.
that, so.
Perfect. Thank you, Becky. Hi, Coco.
Hello, Coco Heath again, 118 East Main Street. I have a question. If there's been any thought to moving Soup Stew Chili Brew down to Bicentennial Park? I asked for a lot of the same reasons that we've been discussing, all the food trucks, the safety and all those things. I know as an economic standpoint, it's not a great weekend for us business owners, and it does block the traffic coming into Main Street. And I know we have Bicentennial Park, which is a beautiful park for that and set up to do those things. So I was wondering if that had ever been thought about or discussed.
I'll let Jim respond to that if you'd like to, and I can add if you want.
So, I mean, since I've been associated with the chamber, you know, we've always had it on Main Street. It's an event where everyone can line up there. We have not had discussions that I've been involved in having it somewhere else. To me, it brings a lot of people in to be able to see our beautiful Main Street, and it is pretty congested there during the day. And I know that's why, you know, in the past, we don't close down Main Street for very many events.
Since I've been here, I think it's only been for that event, and then a special occasion was with the marquee lighting, which had been about 25 years in the making. But answer your question, I mean, I think it's been tossed around a little bit. It's just that, and Bicentennial is an excellent venue, but no decision has been made to not allow festivals on Main Street. But I think the point you're raising is, you as a business owner are concerned about it's the closure of the street and the other, I'm assuming, Coco.
Mayor, if I,
Let me ask if she wanted to go ahead and elaborate.
So
for a
it's
second,
not
Dave.
just the safety, it's that, and I can provide all the numbers too. I think there's one or two businesses that do well with sales that weekend, but in whole, like, we hear it from our customers that they couldn't get into town. They didn't know what was going on, which I don't know how you miss that that's going on, but that's a different topic. Some people live with their head in the ground. But it's just not, it hampers our customers coming in, and I know it brings a lot of people down, but, I mean, I can provide those numbers too. And I am a past chamber member, I'm not a member anymore. But, and I've even sponsored events at Soup Stew Chili Brew. It just, I don't know, I just wonder about that. But the safety thing, when we're talking about all these other safety issues, that brings up a lot too, because I've had garbage in front of my shop, power lines running across, porta potties were on my street for the longest time too. I think it was a second location. Just stuff like that, like if we're
It's,
talking about all of these
environmental things we're all
things.
talking about, and this
Yeah.
one, the only thing that's missing, honestly, is all the vehicles. You know, that's different than
Yeah,
this
and
one.
if we're
so
talking
that-
about, it's still a 4-lane corridor with the 5 million people coming down. I just wonder if moving it until it is hopefully put down to a 2-lane highway, which would be wonderful. If that maybe would help with some of that, I don't know. I was just asking because I'm here.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
it's something that the chamber might be able to go back maybe to the beginning of this event, 20-some years ago. But if I recall, the purpose of having this event on Main Street was to help the Main Street businesses, to draw people to Main Street. Because all the other, several festivals were located down on the river, and this was kind of an attraction to draw people to the businesses on Main Street. So you might be able to check with maybe some of your older chamber members that were around when this event started. And, I mean, I like your idea, but, there was my understanding that's why the event was started to have on Main Street from the beginning, so.
More to come, more discussion on that. So we had a motion and a second. Any additional discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor with regard to approving resolution 2024 31B, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on, mayor's comments. I just want to mention you're witnessing lots of road construction still across the community. We pressed the pause button for the regatta and 4th of July holiday. We are reconvening, and they will be coming back and finishing up the downtown streets that they haven't done yet, as well as striping in the corridor here where they have done that, as well as Hillcrest, as we mentioned. On the transfer station modernization, I want to let the board know that we're still continuing to make good progress on that plan. Our Select My Cart application's been out there. It closes July 31st, so we still have a couple of weeks left of it. So far, we've had 1,783 of our solid waste customers sign up for their carts. I think that's good progress. We have a couple more weeks. If you don't sign up by July 31st, as we indicated, you'll automatically be enrolled for a 65-gallon container. So more to come there. I understand that the equipment that we've ordered, we'll start receiving delivery of it, and our goal is to have the containers disseminated by October. That's going to be a monstrous logistical feat of about 5,000 customers receiving new standardized containers, but we'll continue to make progress on it. I mentioned earlier in our conversations about the resolutions on food trucks about obstructions. I want to again start having the public dialogue and create awareness about sidewalk obstructions, because it's becoming more of a problem with obstructions for a variety of things. Permanent obstructions are not allowed, just FYI. So if you look at our ordinance, that has always been there. We're not changing the ordinances, but it says no person or persons, firm or corporation shall make or cause be made any obstruction upon any sidewalk, street, alley, park, or other public place of the city, or interrupt the free use or passage of the same, or to remain on the sidewalk. It's a long paragraph. I'm just highlighting the fact that we have a lot of sidewalk obstruction happening now, where I said it's almost like weaving in and out of the sidewalk, when in fact it's designed to allow free passage. And I saw some people I knew this morning when I was out walking up and down Main Street, either in a wheelchair or a motorized scooter or walking. It's difficult to pass some of the areas, so I want to make everybody in the community aware that there are exceptions. There's exceptions for work you might be doing on your building. There's exceptions for dining establishments that's already in our local ordinances. But we also have to accommodate free accessibility. So be mindful of how you're blocking the sidewalk with either merchandise or structures or signage. We'll draw everybody's attention to that. If you have any questions, you can call the mayor's office, and if we do see material obstructions, and we've dealt with this candidly a lot in the last couple of weeks, where some of our sidewalks were completely obstructed, and we just can't have that. And again, we're not saying that's a zone issue like we were with food trucks. That's an everywhere issue. And we continue to do a lot of work on sidewalk reconstruction and curb ramps and handicap accessibility. We have a sidewalk asset management plan that is driving more investment to our sidewalks than ever before, particularly in corridors where we're also doing a lot of economic development and road or stormwater repair. So please be mindful of not obstructing sidewalks. With that said, I will turn it over to the rest of the board, see if they have any comments they'd like to share, and we'll go into public comments if there's anything beyond the scope of what we've already talked about that people would like to make a statement about.
I'm good.
I'd just like to address Chief Scudder about a problem that has been occurring, especially since the opening of the new Crystal Beach Aquatic Center.
Might invite Chief to the podium. I'm sorry. This is how we do it.
Seems to me like we're having a problem. There's a fire hydrant in front of Crystal Beach and a long yellow no parking zone. And numerous times in the last, say, 3 weeks, I've driven up or down Vaughn Drive and noticed vehicles parked in front of the fire hydrant. And what can we do to solve that problem?
Get your mic, please, if you don't mind. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
I'll have a conversation with the patrol captains and make sure they put their guys on that, and make sure that's not gonna happen again.
Yeah, I think it's good. Thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it up. And on that topic, we've talked here, and we're in the process of doing, in cooperation with the chief, traffic studies on Bond Drive. We know that safety is a big issue there, just like it is on Main Street. But we have a lot of people going back and forth to the parks and to the riverfront and to the pool and to the gym and to the Bicentennial Park and on and on, playgrounds. And we really have to seriously consider how we manage that volume of, the nexus of pedestrians, people, bicycles, skateboards, motorcycles, cars, you name it.
Yeah, I would really like to see us create a safer way to get from the new parking lot to Crystal, whether it's a crosswalk across Vaughn, and then go down and cross again, or creating a sidewalk there south of Kiwanis. But I think if we can push them over into that parking lot, that'll free up a lot of stuff on Broadway, or Broadway.
A lot of work to do there.
Yeah.
Fire safety obviously is important, why we need our hydrants areas clear.
Now, we have a crosswalk at the end of Broadway, right, over to the sidewalk, right there at the basketball court.
I don't think
No.
there's a marked
Okay.
There's
crosswalk.
a-
no.
Okay, so we would need one there, then up at the parking lot to go from the parking lot to the sidewalk. That would give you
Yeah, nothing's marked down there. I think if it was
Okay.
just marked as a crosswalk would help
okay.
give them a visual place to cross and try to slow traffic down. I know there's been talk about adding in speed bumps or temporary
We need a
speed
stop,
bumps.
honestly, we need a stop sign at Broadway.
I really think we do.
It's just,
Yeah.
and another probably at the Jefferson and Vaughn. So much traffic and it's coming in and out and
Yep.
those are natural corridors or big wide streets.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before there's something happening down there at Broadway and Vaughn with the pedestrians.
And I don't think the traffic's gonna get any less. It's just gonna get more.
That's why
and more.
1.7 million people visited
We want it to
our
be higher.
That's right,
riverfront
exactly.
last year.
Yeah.
We just need to
1.7
control it.
million people visited our riverfront last year, so.
Being a
It's not
volunteer
a-
firefighter,
I understand.
people parking in front of fire hydrants it's kind of a sore spot with me, and that's why I bring it up, and
I'll make sure they take care of it.
I'd like to see the officers maybe, I know they're patrolling that area, I'd like to see them be a little bit more proactive
Yep.
and watch for, because I'd sure hate to have to run a fire hose through somebody's front seat of their vehicle,
Me too.
I mean, I've always thought
It's an ugly
you know,
thing. Do you have any idea how many golf cart passes we've sold this year? I'm just curious.
I think
see a lot of
we're
golf
up
carts.
to 800 about.
Okay, so
There's a lot.
yeah, there's, okay. I'm just curious.
And we'll see another bump before Riverfest and probably Soup Stew. Just seems like always ahead of the festivals. We sell quite a few. So.
And tell us what's something special happening tomorrow night in city council meeting, Chief?
Swearing in our newest officer. He
Another new officer being sworn in.
started this morning. He's a transfer from Switzerland County, so he comes with a couple years of experience, 2.5 years, I think. I think he's going to work out great. He lives here in Madison, so he grew up here, has a family here, so I think he's here for the long haul.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Something
Great.
special.
Anything else?
Anything else
Thank you,
for
Chief.
the chief? Now we'll move into public comment. Anybody here like to address the Board of Public Works, please come to the podium.
Mayor, touch base on the obstructions, I just want to say, so when we do have the food trucks in front of the stores, in my opinion, I don't think they should have any signage or displays out. Because you're putting 2 storefronts in one sidewalk. And as a handicapped person, temporary handicapped person for like 4 months here, it is, even when there's no obstructions, it's hard to get up and down the sidewalk. just put that in consideration, at least during, when the food trucks are there, no signage out or displays at the storefronts.
Sidewalk displays is what you're talking about.
Yes, sir, yes.
And the food truck has their
It's
own
a-
advertising on the outside, so it's pretty
Yeah.
visible anyway, right?
You're talking about, are you talking about the food trucks, not the businesses, or you're talking about both?
Both.
Talking about, just make sure.
Yes, nothing out front.
That would be, that'd be, I mean, I think most businesses probably would object to
Right.
that. I mean, but
Well,
your point is
But my
taken.
point is, you're
which
putting
is-
two storefronts.
Yeah.
So our sidewalks aren't
I-
probably big enough for one.
Well, you're literally continuing to raise the point about food trucks, encroaching in this space because we do not have 10-foot sidewalks.
No.
In many instances, because of where the flower beds are placed, you might have 3 to 5 feet if you're lucky, and if there's nothing on the other side. We have businesses now putting stuff on both sides of the sidewalk and creating a little lane right in the middle.
I think our ordinance says 36, but ADA compliant is 40 inches. Any door,
Yeah.
any exit egress is 40 inches. So just something to consider and think about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Brian, thank you. Please hit the microphone, please, thank you.
I'll be quick. I have a few questions. One was the cords crossing the sidewalks. Are there any, like coverings that are considered sufficient enough for safety hazard? Cause I know it still
There are
leaves an
covers.
elevation.
There
So
are
those will be-
standard covers
Okay.
for that.
And those will be permitted?
I think Valley Supply on the hill might be a good source for that.
Okay, I just didn't know if there's a specific one the city wants to consider as passable. The other thing for the decibel check, is there a certain amount of feet that you're gonna be checking, how loud they are? Just out of curiosity. I mean, is that gonna be considered?
Within 5 feet.
Okay. I think I had one more, and the trash cans, is that something that are you concerned about the volume of trash in the city bins? Or what are your concerns regarding the trash?
I'm more concerned, Isa, about picking up litter.
Right,
Versus I know that we're talking about trash management,
Mm-hmm.
and in here, I personally believe it'd be really difficult to bring your own waste container,
Mm-hmm.
because we do have the sidewalk litter containers. I will tell you, when I said we see it all, we see people using our sidewalk litter containers as their trash cans, and there's multiple.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Again, it's
Personal trash can.
personal
Right.
trash cans.
I'm
with
just
bags,
curious
it's all
on
over the
what
place.
your preference is there for the food trucks, if
My
we should bring our
preference
own.
is, survey the area and pick up any litter on the ground.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if we're using the city bins then? Okay,
If that's okay with you
As long
guys.
as you're using something, that's.
Yeah,
all.
we
Yeah,
just wanted
I
to
agree.
keep it clean.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I would ask anybody that's hearing this, the sidewalk litter containers are not personal trash cans.
Right,
And we have people use them, I don't know where they're coming from, they might be living upstairs. We know some of the businesses just empty their trash in the litter containers, and that's just not the purpose of litter containers.
yeah. I'm
And
just
our
making sure
guys-
if I
our
need to
street
bring my
guys are
own.
working literally 7 days a week, to try to keep our litter containers and our streets clean.
Yep, Thank you.
Yeah. Hi,
I'm back again.
yes,
I don't know the gentleman's name, but I 100% agree with him. I'm sure that probably surprised
talking
me
about
a little bit.
Brian, our building inspector?
Building inspector.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes, Brian. It does get very congested on the streets when there's so much advertising on the sidewalks. I'm permanently disabled, and I can tell you, I had an ADA inspection into my shop when I opened on Main Street, and I only had hits on me when you walk outside my shop. So that was very interesting. But I also would argue that it's not just the shops, and I 100%,
Yeah.
when Issa sets up in front of me, they don't have signage on the street, and then I don't put out one of my signs.
Yeah.
The clothing rack I put in actually stays within my building space, so there's that. But the restaurants have almost a lot, well, most of them, there's like 4 of them, have doubled their outside seating, and that's been a larger issue too, with either myself getting around with my cane or other people on their scooters trying to get around too. So I know that's in the ordinance, but that might be something that needs to be looked at again when you guys are looking at all of this. Because there are places where the restaurants are, that there's not enough room for 2 tables to be on both sides
Yeah.
of the sidewalk. so.
You're right.
And I think it's very smart to include what Brian said in that too.
Good, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else like to make a public comment while we're still on that part of our agenda? Appreciate everybody being here today and sticking through. It's been a long meeting, but I've really am grateful for all the dialogue and the ideas that are starting to flow relative to the issues we're raising. Our next meeting will be Monday, August the 5th. Hard to believe, we're rolling into August already.
Another month older.
That's like 10 more rounds of golf for you between now and then.
It'll be more than that. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everybody. You're right, it probably will be